What are you doing?
Oh, the sun is so hot. I wanted to see if I could try cooking eggs.
Cook eggs here? You don't have a cooking stove?
I'm just hungry.
Oh, come on. I'll cook for you. Come inside.
No, it's okay. I think I'm not hungry anymore.
No, you don't understand. It's free.
Free?
My electricity is free.
What do you mean?
Look up there. So, how are the eggs?
That was so good. Thank you so much for cooking for me. By the way, just now when you said your electricity is free, what do you mean?
Come, let me explain. So, we installed the solar panels about April last year. And since then, it's been powering the house.
How is it different having solar panels compared to powering your house from the grid?
We're trying to use more of the electricity for things during the day. The pump for the pool, my new Tesla, we charge during the day. And of course, the biggest difference is my electricity bill is now a lot lower. So this is a pretty big house. We use a lot of electricity. We're saving about $850 to $900 a month.
Wow, that is really substantial. What then, is the installation process like? Since I think now I'm curious to get solar for my house as well.
It was pretty easy and streamlined. Our roof has quite a bit of a slant. And so upfront, I had to call a few places, and GetSolar was awesome. A few of them said they couldn't handle the more than 5-degree slope, and our roof is about 14 degrees. But GetSolar was up for it. And from when we had the initial discussion, their team came out, did a recce, and then it was just signing the paperwork and scheduling the contract work. I think the installation was maybe 3 days, and then they switched it on and boom, done.
How much did you pay for a solar system?
I think when you add everything in, installation costs, GST and all of that, it was about $40,000 because we saved $10,000 roughly a year. It pays for itself in 4 years. And given the life of the solar panels should be about 25 to 30 years, at least from my perspective, it's a no-brainer.
I'm going to start saving up for my own now.
You should. And I've already convinced my neighbor in the back to put it in, and every time he sees me, he thanks me.
Yeah, I'm going to come back and thank you as well. So before actually getting solar, were there any questions, like burning questions that you had about the whole process, how it's going to work?
So when we started, of course, we wanted to make sure that the economics worked, and that became clear very quickly that they worked. The only other concern we had was how long is that installation process? Is that like a major renovation to the house?
Yeah.
But in reality, it turned out to be only a few days, and it was very streamlined.
Pretty fuss-free.
Yeah. I think we were fortunate because a different neighbor, they started telling me about the solar they had put in. They're producing more electricity than they can use. But they said, hey, it's very streamlined in Singapore. The government gets you paid for what goes back into the grid.
Wait, what do you mean we're very lucky in Singapore?
So in many places in the world, because solar will only produce electricity during the day, storing it when there is excess electricity being produced requires a battery. The battery often is more expensive than the panels. Whereas in Singapore, the grid acts as your battery. The government has done a wonderful thing, which is during the day when the solar panels are producing more electricity than we can use, it goes back into the grid. So typically that happens between like 12 to 4 when the sun is at its peak. And my electricity provider then pays us for that excess electricity.
Wow, so you get paid instead of having to pay for a battery. Hey, thanks so much for, cooking those eggs for me and for teaching me all about solar. I really learned a lot today.
No worries.
Solar sounds like a really good investment, especially with all the savings he got. But I don't think I can afford the upfront cost. Hey! Wait, you dropped this. Rent to own solar with zero upfront costs? What's that?
That's right. I'm from GetSolar. and we offer a zero upfront rent-to-own model for property owners to get solar for their homes.
GetSolar. Someone was just telling me about his experience with GetSolar.
Is that so? Actually, I'm on the way to meet one of our rent-to-own customers who's introduced a few customers himself. Why don't you come along?
Okay, sure.
A few moments later.
We're here.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Mr. Suresh.
Hello, hi. Nice to see you, Bolo.
How are you doing?
Hi.
This is Dion here.
Hi, Dion.
Hi,
Nice to see you.
meet
Hi.
you, Mr. Suresh.
Yeah, please come in.
Okay,
Thank you.
Where are you all coming from?
So I actually came from my friend's house. I was having lunch there. He has solar panels as well, just like you. But he paid upfront for it, and I really want solar panels, but I don't think I can afford that. And Bolong told me that you are actually renting your solar panels. So how does that work?
Okay, when I was researching installation of solar panels, almost all the companies in Singapore, save one, has a requirement of full outlay. So for my home, being a single phase home, I could install up to 28 panels, and the upfront cost would have been about $36,000. But when I came across GetSolar, they had a rent-to-own scheme, and by the time it was worked out, found that I only had to pay $13,500 upfront, and for the next 5 years, it's $237 a month, depending on what the GST is. So I thought, wow, that's a very affordable scheme, because if you look at what my electricity cost is, and I was hoping for a complete offset, and I will show you that my bills actually show that it is almost a complete offset, So I'm almost paying next to nothing for my electricity with this, with the installation of solar panels.
Right.
On top of that, we do also have a zero upfront cost rent-to-own model, which is also a 10-year plan. In that case, there's zero capital outlay, and customers similarly pay like a flat monthly fee over 10 years, while we also give all the full warranties and maintenance coverage during that period.
Oh wow, that sounds
very good.
Yeah,
That's
that
very
sounds
good.
really good. Yeah. I mean, I was worried about cleaning, because I understand solar panels are long-term investments. So, cleaning, maintenance, repairs, all of that. How do you take care of that?
From what I've been reading about, especially in our climate, and the way our roofs are inclined, there's very little cleaning required. So where maintenance is concerned, very little maintenance. And what I like about GetSolar system is they actually monitor my solar usage and how the system is generating power. And in fact, there have been a few occasions, there's always going to be teething problems in any installation, So I had some teething problems where one particular circuit breaker was tripping. I didn't know anything about it, but it was the company which called me and said, can you try and reset that circuit breaker? So I went and reset. I had no idea about it. So the company is actually monitoring it in the background, which I totally appreciated. So otherwise, for the last few months, that circuit breaker would have been tripped and I wouldn't even have known that I wasn't generating. And I think what was also very good about GetSolar was the instant support, Straight away, somebody was in my house, made an appointment, came to have a look to see what was causing the trip, 2 or 3 months, no trip, nothing. So the matter was attended to very promptly,
One of the things we realize also is a lot of our homeowners are often quite busy, right? And we don't want to have to trouble them to always be thinking about how their solar system is, to constantly be monitoring that. So we do that on their behalf, also to make sure that ultimately all our solar systems are always performing the best that they can.
That's really interesting, and also I think it's so helpful because I've never had a solar system before. But other than that, do you think it's okay if I ask how much your current bill is after getting solar?
I think it's easier if I especially brought my bills down. So for April, my usual bill is about $230 to $245. Okay, there are 3 of us at home. In April, I paid $1.67.
$1.67.
From a normal bill of about $240, $245. And in May, it was an offset and I paid nothing.
Nothing.
Yep,
$0.
and my bills are here to show it, and this is for you.
Okay.
You can have a look at
That
it.
is really awesome.
Yeah, so I'm quite fortunate. But like I said, mine is only for 3 people. When I have my family, what I noticed is the output from the solar system is roughly about 1.1 megawatt per month. My normal consumption is about 500 to 600 kilowatts. So there is an excess of about 500 which is sold back to the grid. Even with my whole family here, and I've got about 10, 11 people in December, it still didn't come to the 1.1 megawatt usage.
Right.
So I was still getting a little bit of surplus there.
Yeah, Mr. Suresh, I noticed that in April, your electricity bill was even a negative $85.
That's because my wife was not here.
I think what a lot of homeowners also don't realize sometimes before they get solar is that their electricity bills can actually be negative, and SP is actually paying them for all that excess solar energy that they have, right?
Yes.
So even if their roof is a lot bigger than the amount of electricity that they consume, installing more panels is always better as well.
So, Mr. Suresh, I think I am quite keen on installing solar now, but what made you choose, GetSolar to install solar for you?
Okay, when I was researching all the different companies, what I liked about GetSolar was the way the website was designed, it's a simulator. It gives you an idea. You can actually draw an outline. They have a Google picture. You can just draw an outline of your roof, and it gives you an idea of your roof size, everything. Send back to the company, and they come out with a whole detailed plan. Followed, if you want, where the salesperson comes to discuss with you in detail. So we could go through a lot of things, plus have a roof inspection to see what are the difficulties involved, if at all, in installing the panels. So I thought it was a very good package deal and no obligations at all, which is what I really appreciated. There's no push from the agent, nothing.
So, Mr. Suresh, I also heard that actually you recommended GetSolar to your neighbors.
Yes.
Yeah, any particular reason why?
Well, I think to be very honest, I was very happy with the work that was done, And then subsequently when the team came in, we had an excellent team of workers, So I told them, look, what I'd like to do is I want to minimize the wiring. Because I've seen in some homes where the wiring becomes unfortunately, quite unsightly, And they took a lot of trouble to actually try and find a different way of running it, where the wires will not be seen. I was fortunate I had false ceilings. They actually crawled into the false ceiling to run the wirings. So that was excellent. That was point one. So every step along the way, they kept on asking me, is this okay, is this okay, is this okay, And then the third thing also was, they're very neat. Every day they'll clean up every single part of the home, wherever they are, they clean up, and they make sure, and they even wash my porch out where most of the work, all the solar panels were there, they'll keep it aside. So, I thought that small attention to detail was what really impressed me, and that is why I recommended them to quite a number of people. 3 of them took it up, or in the process of taking it up. The rest are all still considering. So I just need to work on them.
A lot of the mission of the company we've always talked about, making it as simple as possible for all customers to get solar, and I think a lot of that is also just in the experience of having your solar system installed.
I think the most important thing is the proactiveness. I mean, that is your biggest selling point. Your proactiveness, immediately people are calling in.
Well, thanks for the hospitality, Mr. Suresh. This was really insightful. We've probably got to get going to distribute out more flyers.
Okay, right. Understand.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Most welcome.
Thank
Dion,
you.
Thank you so much.
I
So
hope
nice
you get
to
your
meet
solar
you.
panel.
Yeah, I think I will. Wow, so actually homeowners really can save a lot of money by getting solar panels.
Yeah, I mean, actually with most of our customers these days, when they install solar shaves off probably about 80% of their electricity bill.
Wow.
Some would even have net payouts, right? Meaning SP is paying them on a monthly basis. And I think it's also really made possible because in the last few years, there's been a lot of technological advancement. Cost of solar has also went down, right? So compared to what customers will face, which is really high upfront cost of solar these days, we also have these rent-to-own models, which gives customers like a completely zero upfront way to get solar, while we handle kind of everything related to repairs, maintenance on their behalf as well.
Yeah, it sounds really awesome, and I think having learned about the rent-to-own option, I'm gonna go home and discuss with my family, and I think we can really start considering solar now.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.